Good morning and welcome back to the Tantrum Podcast. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, you may be astute enough to notice that I am in fact wearing the same clothes as I wore yesterday. I would, however, like to point out that this is an entirely different black t-shirt, an entirely different hoodie than what I was wearing last time you saw me. Moving on. Question we're going to ask today is, can kitesurfing or any extreme sport, or any sport for that matter, make anyone more intelligent? Now, a recent study from the University of Illinois would seem to suggest the answer is yes. Now, this is great news for all of us. Given the fact that today's education system is failing as miserably as it is, that we know that the idea of teaching skills and things like this, the way it's done traditionally just isn't working. Wouldn't it be great if having a peek inside the mind of extreme sports athletes gives us a new way to learn, a new way to teach, and a new ability to see how the human brain operates? Well, a recent study done, as I say, at the University of Illinois, took a group of students, roughly half of whom were defined as athletes, i.e. they played football, tennis, badminton, something like that. The other half were non-athletes, they were bookworms. And what they did is they hooked them up onto a treadmill with a pair of virtual reality goggles, and the exercise was to try and cross a street, a busy street, where cars were coming at them at sort of 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, and they were only allowed to walk. Now, what they found on this test, the only objective of the test was to get to the other side of the road. And what they found was that the athletes, as you might expect, massively outperformed the non-athletes. Now, originally this was thought to be down to the fact, and what you would think, that the athletes had better physical ability to get out there and to dodge the cars. What they actually found, in fact, was much more interesting. What they found was that the athletes actually possessed the ability to assess the incoming information, to see the car, to work out what speed it was going, what vector, what velocity, what time to impact, how fast they had to move to get past it. They could take all this information in and process it at a much higher speed than the non-athletes. And what does that mean for us as kite surfers or as extreme sports athletes? Well, if you look at the extreme sports athletes, sort of the extreme sport environment that we're put in, it's what's called a rich environment. It's deep, it's immersive, it's constantly changing, and there's a huge amount of variables and sensory stimulation. You can go down the same beach on the same day pretty much an hour later, and the conditions are entirely different. You can ride the same wave hitting the same shore, but ride it on a different day and it's an entirely different wave. You can ride the same ski slope, but it snowed the night before, and suddenly that ski slope is an entirely different experience. Extreme sports environments change every single time we engage them, so it's impossible for us to get dialed into our environments. We can't, for example, measure the steps we need to take in a run-up to bowl the ball in cricket. We can't measure the amount of steps we need to take in gymnastics before we jump and hit the horse or whatever it is we're doing. We have no control over our environment. Our environment is a rich stimulus, and we're engaging all of our senses, not simply the five that we talk about, but all the other ones that we have as well, like body awareness, rotational awareness, things like this. So we're getting a huge amount of sensory information in, and we're having to process it like this. And often you can add to that the fact that we're in a fairly high-risk environment. If we mess this up, the consequences are probably going to be, maybe not life and death, but at least we're going to look stupid being washed up the beach and potentially hurt ourselves pretty badly. Now, all this leads to this state where our brain is just overloaded and becomes so good at processing this information that's coming in so much faster than your average Joe who's walking down the street. So yes, the answer is quite emphatically kite surfing and other extreme sports definitely make us more intelligent. Isn't that a good thing? Cheers guys, speak to you later.